This morning, a Mankato cannabis shop opened its doors to recreational users.
KUIC News Now's Randall Gim reports Rise Dispensary in the Hilltop area previously served cannabis to only medical users, but now serves people ages 21 and up.
People over the age of 21 who do not have medical cannabis cards can now buy marijuana recreationally from Rise Dispensary. Leah Peterson says this opportunity makes buying marijuana much safer.
With my friends and everything, I told them just wait till it's recreational, stop going to people's houses, because they travel like out of state to go to dispensaries, so it makes it a lot easier that it's like in town now.
Rise is the first store in Mankato to sell recreationally. In a statement to KUIC, Green Thumb Industries President of Operations Matt Navarro says recreational sales at Rise provide safe and tested access while creating jobs, generating tax revenue, and investing in organizations that strengthen Minnesota. Mankato City Manager Susan Arndt says Rise being a recreational and medical store falls outside the number of recreational stores allowed in Mankato.
That type of operation does not count towards the city's 4 licensed cannabis retailers in the community.
Arndt says a couple other retailers are in the middle of the licensing process. Peterson has been a medical cannabis user and thinks these stores opening in the area is a good thing.
I think it's really cool being a college town at all. I think they're keeping up with the times. So it's really cool to see like updates and whatnot.
Arndt says in the future, Rise Dispensary and the other dispensaries soon to open will be accountable to remain compliant and not selling to anyone under the age of 21. In Mankato, Randall Gim, KUIC News Now.